everybody, my name is Carver from Rip to the Hole. You know how people say you shouldn't talk about your politics on the internet? I'm going to be doing that, but in reverse. If economic globalism is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. Agree. I'd always support my country whether it is right or wrong. I'd strongly disagree. Patriotism is not equivalent to morality. If you support your country when it's doing evil, at best you're a moral cretin, and at worst, you are complicit with the evil that it's committing. No one chooses their country at birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. Disagree, because some countries are truly dog. Our race has many superior qualities, but strongly disagree. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Agree, again, it depends on a case-by-case basis. For example, we had decided that the Russians to beat the Nazis, but this is mostly just a case-by-case basis type of thing. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified, again, case-by-case basis. There is a roaring fusion of information and entertainment. Almost the opposite is true with this statement. I might be 22 years old, but I'm still old enough to remember that even liberal shows didn't put their politics first. But now it feels like every 2 out of 3 movies, TV shows, and video games have some far-left argument in it justifying Marxism or some other left-wing talking point. Now on to the economy. This is definitely gonna piss off the J.D. Vance wing of the Republican Party. People are ultimately divided more by class than by nationality. Agree, because I'm pretty sure no matter where you live, people who are dirt poor are gonna live very differently than people who are ultra-rich. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. Strongly agree. Because if you don't control inflation and it gets out of hand, businesses are going to try and cut costs any way they can, including laying people off, leading to more unemployment. This is kind of a chicken or the egg question, but I'm going to have to lean more towards egg on this one. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. Agree. Look up Count Dankula's Deepwater Horizon video. From each according to his ability to each according to his need is a fundamentally strongly disagree. This is Marxist crap. The only way I can see this working is in a family, but everything outside of that, bull. The freer the market, the freer the people. Strongly disagree. This is a recipe for oligarchy. And oligarchy is just totalitarianism with a price tag next to it. It's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now bottled, branded consumer product. I wish I was a neutral. I'm on this thing. I don't care about bottled water. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. What does it mean by this? Is it just talking about land that's not owned by anybody? Like a forest or a desert? Or is it talking about like a house or land that has stuff built on top of it already? I'm gonna go with disagree. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to society. Disagree because I don't really see how that's possible. If they're talking about Wall Street, then these people are. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. Agree, but that's mostly for foreign policy. The only social responsibility of the company should be to deliver a profit to the shareholders. Strongly disagree. I could rant about this for an hour, so I'm going to try and give the TLDR version of it. A businessman that has no center to him, other than money and business, is not going to be able to sustain a business for long. The people who buy your products are going to feel that it is a hollow product specifically designed to make money and grow the brand. And also, business for the sake of business and or avarice is not good for you, it's not good for you mentally, it's not good for you spiritually, and it's not good for your employees either. The rich are too highly taxed. Strongly agree. If you're talking about taxes for luxury items, I'm much more willing to sit down and discuss that. I will never agree that the government should be able to reach into your wallet and take your hard-earned money, no matter what income bracket you're in. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. Agree. Governments should penalize businesses that mislead the public. In cases of false advertising, agree. But if it's like just some petty, stupid lie, it should be frowned upon, but government penalties, no. And even then, even with false advertising, I think Lawsuits are better than government regulation, but in principle I agree. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of private multinationals to pay monopolies. Strongly agree. If the previous page wasn't going to get me cancelled by the left and the right, oh boy, this one probably is. Abortion when the woman's life is not threatened should always be illegal. Strongly agree. I only make exceptions for when the life of the mother is at risk. No exceptions for rape or incest. All authority should be questioned. Strongly agree. And if you disagree, you are either an authoritarian, a fanatic for whatever institution or establishment you root for, or both. There is no option B. An eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth. When Ben Shapiro took this test, she explained that this particular quote is misconstrued pretty much all the time. What it really means is that if you damage someone in some way, you should pay something equivalent to the damage caused. It doesn't necessarily have to be a one-for-one. So, agree. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cost right by commercial basis. Strongly agree. My tax dollars should not go to any businesses that I don't want it to. If you can't keep your business running, that's your problem, not mine. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. Again, is it talking about like for all minors? Because some parents have their kids homeschooled. I'm gonna go and disagree. All people have their rights, but it's better for all of us that this is a trap. Disagree. I mean, I agree that some cultures are objectively worse than ours, and it's better that they're not brought into the country, but this is an obvious trap to see if I'm racist. I think spanking them doesn't teach them what they did wrong was wrong. I think it just teaches them that might makes right. And that leads to some pretty toxic behavior down the line. In my opinion, it's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. I agree. This isn't even necessarily a political question. This is just a saying on how people work. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. I agree. I think it should be regulated like alcohol is. It shouldn't be above a certain level of potency, because some of the newer can mess you up. The prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs. Again, this is a case-by-case basis. Like with the case of farmers, the father usually teaches his kids how to operate all the equipment and how to take care of the animals and all the little other chores they have to do around the farm to maintain it. So, disagree, but this is, again, like a case-by-case situation. People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. Strongly disagree. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. Strongly disagree. I don't disagree that discipline is important for children to learn, but I think truth and integrity trumps all of it. So this is more so like a priority thing for me. There are no savage civilized peoples. There are only different cultures. Strongly disagree. And if you don't agree with my take, look up Aztec sacrifices. Those who are able to work and refuse savagery should not expect society's support. Strongly agree. When you are troubled, it's better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. Again, case-by-case basis, disagree. First-generation immigrants can never fully be integrated. Disagree. Case-by-case basis. Again, a lot of these things are case-by-case basis type questions. Like, there's no one-size-fits-all solution for a lot of these. That's what frustrates me about this test. What's good for the most successful corporations always ultimately good for all of us? Disagree. 9 times out of 10. No broadcasting institution, however independent is, its content should receive public funding. Strongly agree. Again, my tax dollars should not cover your Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. Strongly agree. The Patriot Act is one of the most Orwellian things I've ever seen. I think George W. Bush should have been impeached and indicted. A significant advantage of the one-party state is that this is an obvious trap. Although the electronic age is making official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. Strongly disagree. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. Strongly disagree. If there is one thing I've learned throughout my life, it's that you should never, ever underestimate the ability for institutions to things up. If somebody is wrongly convicted and given the death penalty, the lethal injection does not come with a reset button. And before people start scrambling to the comment sections to give the statistics on people wrongly convicted and given the death penalty, I don't give a the correct people who are wrongly convicted of any crime and given any sentence, be it death or life in prison or anything else, should be 0. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be on case-by-case basis. It depends on the society. Abstract art that should represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. Disagree. I am far more comfortable with the left's notion of what art is than the right's notion that certain things aren't art. Because who the hell gets to decide what is and isn't art? In criminal justice, punishment should be one person every investigation, again, case-by-case basis. It is a waste of time to rebate. Agree. The business person and the manufacturer right-wingers strongly disagree. It doesn't matter if you have the most well-oiled machine on earth. If all that machine produces is sludge and filth, nobody's gonna want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. And they are definitely not gonna give it their money. I mean, look at a webtoon. Some of those webcomics have more views than comic books being produced by Marvel or DC these days. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers. Agree. Almost all politicians promise economic growth, but we should feed the warnings of climate science. That growth is detrimental to global warming. Disagree. I agree we shouldn't be dumping poison into our water and air, but all the science that says that humans contribute to global warming in a way that is detrimental to our survival or significant in any way, shape, or form is making peace with the establishment for an state of maturity. Disagree. Again, it depends on the establishment. Some establishments are good, some of them are evil. Now it's time for religion. Oh boy. Before I go on, I'm just gonna explain my sort of religious stance. I would be considered agnostic. I believe that the Bible holds the most amount of wisdom about humanity than any other religious text. However, I take the Christopher Hitchens view on religious institutions. Astrology actually explains many things. I don't really know how astrology works, but from what I've heard, I disagree. You cannot be moral without being religious. Strongly disagree. You don't need a fine spaghetti monster to tell you that stabbing someone in the neck is bad. Charity is better than social security as a means of helping a genuine disadvantaged. What the f does this have to do with religion? Also agree. Our entitlement programs are fucking killing this country. Some people are naturally unlucky. Agree. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. I'm gonna go with disagree, and here's why. If a publicly funded institution wants to instill religious values in children, they're gonna have to go with the whole spectrum, because the Constitution clearly states that the government cannot prefer one religion over the other, and it just opens up a can of worms. Sex outside of marriage is usually immoral. I think it's stupid to have sex outside of marriage. If you're gonna get married, and you know you're gonna get married to a woman or a man, I think it's okay to have sex before you get married. I don't have a problem with it. But here's the thing that drives me crazy about the right. They treat people who want to have one-night stands. They treat somebody who wants to have a one-night stand like some mustache-twirling villain out to exploit someone, when really they just want to have a night of fun. That's what it boils down to. Treating people who have sex outside of marriage as some evil villain isn't just stupid and Karen-esque. It's just immature. Again, I think it's dumb, but immoral or wrong. I think that's a bridge too far. A same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be considered for responsibility of child adoption. Agreed, I think it should be put down lower on the list than a heterosexual couple. Honestly, I just want to get those kids out of the foster care system. Anything CPS touches is run like absolute dog. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population. Agree, it's impossible to regulate pornography. No matter how much power you give the government, it is impossible to get rid of pornography or block people from being able to see it. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state. Strongly agree. And if you disagree, you're either a Karen or a pervert. There is no third option. No one can feel naturally homosexual. Strongly disagree. These days, openness about sex has gone too far. Strongly. And if you disagree, you clearly have not been paying attention to anything going on within the last decade. Alright, let's see where I land. Yeah, I suspected it would put me right-leaning libertarian, even though I identify more as center libertarian. But I am mildly surprised by, and not in a good way, is that it didn't put me lower on the libertarian spectrum. Anyway, that's gonna be all for today, folks. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a dislike. If you want to see the uncensored version, go to my Rumble page, linked down below. The Voice of Elect, signing out.